not 2,000 years later. According to what Christians have been taught, Jesus could come back at any time, any day. However, Jesus said, "Know that it is nigh, even at the doors." When he said that, it meant very near, or soon, not in 2,000 years. He was speaking to his disciples, so obviously that meant in their lifetimes, not someone else's 2,000 years later. End of the world. Now here, his disciples asked him about the end of the world. Jesus actually seemed to believe that the world was about to come to an end. The world was to end around the time the temple was to be destroyed, which we know from history happened in around 70 AD, and which also was to be the time of his second coming. And Jesus said unto them, "See ye not all these things?" Speaking of the temple. "Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." The prophet Malachi prophesied that God would send Elijah before the coming of the Messiah on that great and dreadful day. Jesus, in no uncertain terms, declared that John the Baptist was Elijah. Even John himself said that he was the voice of one crying in the wilderness, that Isaiah prophesied of who was Elijah, even though he himself didn't believe he was Elijah. He, John the Baptist, said, "I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Make straight the way of the Lord," as said the prophet Isaiah. According to Matthew 24, the great and dreadful day of the Lord refers to the second coming. Christ didn't fulfill all the prophecies that were supposed to happen at his first coming, nor did he even return when his second coming was supposed to happen. So now the thing is that the second coming hasn't happened yet, because that's when all those other prophecies are supposed to be fulfilled that haven't been fulfilled yet. Here is proof that Jesus believed his second coming would be in the first century. "Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here, which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." It is evident that there are none of those standing there that are still alive when Jesus spoke those words. Still more proof that Jesus believed his second coming would happen in the first century. "Ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel, till the Son of Man be come." Many of those cities at that time that Jesus referred to don't even exist anymore. In Luke, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven was nigh at hand, which means near. Near doesn't mean 2,000 years later, it means a few years at most, since he said, "This generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled." He used the words, "this generation," the current generation of his day. If he was speaking of an event that would happen 2,000 years later, he would have used the expression, "that generation." "Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away." There will be no rapture. In Matthew chapter 24, verses 15 to 31, Jesus was speaking of what is widely known as the Great Tribulation. This took place in Judea, verse 16, which is more evidence that Jesus believed that his second coming and the end of the world would be in the first century. "Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains." His second coming, he said, would come immediately after the Great Tribulation. Christians have been taught that they would be raptured and that it would happen before the tribulation and that they would not have to go through it. "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Jesus believed the end of the world was imminent, first century. He believed his second coming was near during that generation, the first century. "This generation shall not pass till all these things of the great tribulation be fulfilled." According to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus believed that the rapture would happen after the Great Tribulation, which means that the rapture was to happen also in the first century. It didn't happen, and it never will. The one that was taken is the one who is killed, not raptured. The vultures represent the angels who are gathering together his elect from the four winds. Remember, this is the great tribulation where people are fleeing for their lives. Two women will be grinding grain together. The one will be taken, and the other will be left behind. Then they asked him, "Where, Lord, will this take place?" He told them, "Wherever there's a corpse, that's where the vultures will gather. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. Therefore be ye also ready. For in such an hour as ye think, not the Son of Man cometh, with his angels to gather together the elect home." A corpse that he refers to is the bodies of Jews who were killed in the Great Tribulation. The vultures are symbolic of the angels that gather their spirits. This is why Jesus admonished them to be ready, because no one knows when it is their time when he comes to take them home.